Okay, so here's a question nobody's really asking, but everybody should be. What if the Blue Jays' best move this spring has nothing to do with a free agent signing, nothing to do with a blockbuster trade, and everything to do with a guy who wasn't even on the 40-man roster when camp opened? Because if you look at what this roster actually needs right now, and I mean really look at it, there are three names that keep coming up. Three guys who came in as non-roster invitees, and at least one of them, maybe two, maybe all three, could legitimately be standing on that opening day roster on March 27th. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, okay, these are just depth guys, spring training bodies, guys who are there to fill innings and at-bats while the real players ease into the season. But that's not what this is. This is genuinely contested. This is real competition. And the precedent is already there within this very organization. Last year, Alan Roden posted a 1.250 OPS in spring training and forced his way onto that roster. Nobody expected that. Nobody had him penciled in. And then Miles Straw did the same thing. These things happen when the door is cracked open, and right now, the door is wide open. Let's start with RJ Schreck, because this is the one that has me most excited, and I think it's the one most people are sleeping on. So Anthony Santander, who was supposed to be a key piece of this offense, just had surgery to repair a left labral injury. Left field is now genuinely up for grabs. The Jays went out and got Jesus Sanchez from Miami in exchange for Joey Loperfido, and Sanchez has the tools. The bat speed is elite, the power potential is real. But he's never put it all together at the major league level consistently. Nathan Lukes is another option, and to his credit, he played left field well in 2025. But we're talking about a guy who's almost 32 years old, who has been in the minors basically his entire career. The ceiling just isn't there. And that's exactly why Schreck matters. Last year, across AA and AAA, 99 games total, he hit 18 home runs. His OPS was 914 in AA and 898 in AAA. Now, when you account for every level he played at in 2025, he's hitting .868 OPS against right-handed pitching with a 400 on-base percentage across 351 plate appearances. 400 OBP, that's not a fluke. That's a hitter who understands the strike zone and makes pitchers work. Even against lefties, which is where a lot of young hitters get exposed, he was at 808 OPS with a 382 OBP in 77 plate appearances. He held his own. What the Blue Jays value offensively is on-base percentage. It's the backbone of how this organization builds lineups, and Schreck fits that mold almost perfectly. If he comes into spring training and does what Alan Roden did a year ago, controls the zone, gets on base, makes the decision impossible to ignore, the Blue Jays are going to have a very real conversation about putting this kid on the opening day roster. I genuinely think it happens. Now let's talk about Riley Tirotta, because this is the under-the-radar one, the one that probably won't get clicked on in a Google search. But hear me out, because the case for him is genuinely strong when you think about what this roster actually needs as opposed to what sounds exciting. Every major league team needs infield depth, every single one. And for the Blue Jays specifically, this has been an area where they've had to improvise in ways that really hurt them. Remember when Andres Gimenez went down with a quad strain? They turned to Michael Stefanik, who gave them almost nothing offensively. That's not a knock on Stefanik personally. He's a professional ball player. But that situation exposed something real about how thin they were behind the starters. Tiroda has been quietly building a case for 3-4 years now since the Jays drafted him in the 12th round back in 2021. He's not flashy. He's not a prospect people write about in highlight reels. But last year in AAA Buffalo, over 116 games, he hit 268 with a 359 on base, 417 slugging, 775 OPS. He hit 12 home runs and stole 13 bags, and against left-handed pitching specifically, his OPS was 930. That is a real, legitimate platoon weapon. Against Addison Barger, who profiles as a right-handed hitter at third base, the two of them actually complement each other in a way that makes roster construction sense. Then there's the defense. In 2025 alone, Tirotta played 6 different positions. 6. First base, third base, right field, those are his main spots. But he's got the versatility to genuinely slide around and plug holes. He won the Stan Barron MVP award in AAA last year. He's 27, which means he's not a prospect in the traditional sense, but that also means he's polished, he's ready, and he understands who he is as a player. For a big league team trying to protect against the injuries that are going to happen, because they always happen, Tiroda on your opening day roster is smart roster construction. It's not glamorous, it's just good baseball. All right, and then there's Yariel Rodriguez. And this one is a different conversation entirely, because Rodriguez isn't fighting for a roster spot the way a prospect would fight for one. He already had one, he already had a contract, and he lost it. Before the 2024 season, he signed a 5-year deal worth $21.3 million. There are still 3 years and $21.3 million left on that contract. He got DFA'd this offseason. Nobody claimed him on waivers. He was outrighted off the 40-man roster, and now he's coming into spring training as a non-roster invitee, trying to earn his way back. And here's the thing. The first half of his 2025 season was actually solid. He posted a 2.53 ERA before the second half hit and command issues crept in, and his ERA ballooned to 4.58. He wasn't on the postseason roster. That's how it ended. But the talent is still there. The stuff is still there. The Blue Jays still have financial interest in making this work. And the bullpen, while the Tyler Rogers signing helped, is not so locked up that there isn't room for someone to force their way in. Rodriguez is a professional who has pitched at the highest level, who knows this organization, who knows this city, and who is going to come into spring training with something to prove. That is a dangerous combination. Pitchers with something to prove in March are exactly the guys you should be watching. He doesn't need a rotation spot. He doesn't need to be the guy. He just needs to show enough in camp to make someone say, we can't leave him off this roster. And I think he does it. Here's the broader point I want to leave you with, because I think it matters beyond just the Blue Jays. Spring training is the one moment in the baseball calendar where talent and opportunity intersect in a way that can't always be predicted by numbers or rankings or prospect status. The Jays have had it happen before, Roden-style, and the conditions right now are set up for it to happen again. There's an outfield spot that's genuinely open because of injury. There's an infield depth need that hasn't been addressed through a transaction. There's a bullpen that could use one more reliable arm. Schreck, Tirotta, Rodriguez, 3 different kinds of players, 3 different situations, but all 3 of them are walking into Dunedin with a real shot. Watch the spring training box scores. Watch the plate appearances, the pitch counts, the exit velocities. The story of this opening day roster isn't written yet, and the most interesting chapters might come from names you didn't have circled on your calendar when the off-season started. That's what I love about this time of year, man. Anything can happen. The baseball is real. The competition is real. And for at least 3 guys in Blue Jays camp right now, March 27th is not a pipe dream. It's genuinely within reach.